when you made. I had them once, but I got them all the time. I was gonna come on here and do a book boyfriend video, right, where I told y'all about all of the fictional black men that I box your ears about. But I decided, because I always read diversely, I also got this idea from my Annie, because I read diversely, how about first we talk about like men from books across the spectrum. They still mine though. They still mine. And keep your eyes in your hands and your thoughts to yourself. Hi friends. Welcome back to Shelby in the book club. I'm Shelby Monet, and in today's video we're going to talk about some of my favorite male characters from some of my favorite books. It took me, I had to like think hard about this, because at first every man that I came up with was from a romance novel, and there are other depictions of black men, right? There are men in general, but black men around these parts here. There are other depictions of them, right, where they are flawed, where they are vulnerable, where they are superheroes, where they are powerful, where they are sad, right, where they are discovering themselves, where they are going through a whole bunch of different things. So in this video we're going to talk across the spectrum, because we read diversely for that very reason, because we need different types of representation of not only our people but of all people. So before we get started, tell me who some of your favorite male characters are in books. Tell me who and tell me why, because we always looking for book recommendations around here. We are always looking for new books to read, new books to buy, new authors to support, and new men to put on the roster. Without further ado, let's get started. Make sure you like, you comment, you share, and subscribe, and let's get into it for real this time. Okay, the first two books, I couldn't find my copies of. One of them I don't have a physical copy for. I need to change that. The other one I do have a physical copy for. I don't know where all in the HE double hockey sticks it is. And it's a lot of books in this house. I won't doing that, okay? I won't finna stress myself out, all right? So first we have Samir from Bow Down. Yes, this is a romance. More like an erotica. And I did not include it in my video because I feel like I talk about this book too much, but at the same time I can't talk about it enough. Samir, oh my god, when I say I want a dominant man, Samir is who I'm talking about. He is who I'm talking about. That's who I want. I want y'all to pick him up, he big, y'all, in all the ways that you can think of that word being a descriptor for a man. He big, he be wearing suits and stuff, and he do that thing where he roll his sleeve. That's not what I came here for. When I say I want a dominant man, I want Samir. That's what I'm talking about. And it's because he is so confident in his dominance. He understands that dominance doesn't mean all of the sexual things that people think it does. Dominance doesn't even really mean all of it's not necessarily about being able to control somebody and to have somebody doing your bidding. It is about building trust and knowing that the person that you are letting dominate you is going to make decisions that are for your betterment. That's what it's about. And Samir is so clear on that. He like, you think I just want to control you just because? No, there are rules, there are things, there are reasons for this. I love him. I think the other thing that I loved about him so very much is that he was vulnerable, right? He was willing to say when he wasn't sure, when he was, you know, going a little bit outside of his comfort zone. He was willing to adjust where he needed to, right? Like, although he was very secure in the man that he was and the things that he was doing, like, Samir, he is perfect. He is perfection. He is perfect Do you hear me? Samir can do no wrong in my eye. I love that man. I love him. That is a good man. Savannah. Oh, I love him. Okay, next. And then everything else I have the physical books for, because I did my homework. I looked. I found everything else. But next we have Apollo from The Changeling by Victor LaValle. Absolutely love this book. The Changeling tells the story of Apollo and his wife. They have a baby, and then his wife is like, I don't know whose baby that is. I don't know whom's child that is, but it's not the one that I gave birth to. And she disappeared, right? And there's this big situation that happens, and she disappears. And at first, I did not like Apollo, because I'm like, you really gonna sit in this lady face and call her crazy? That's what you gonna do? You gonna call her crazy? That could be postpartum psychosis, and you gonna call her crazy. That's what you're gonna do in her face? Because I'm like, I will help her jump you, sir. I don't know what you thought this was, but we could get busy real quick. But what made me love Apollo is the shift that he took. Apollo went from she crazy to let me figure this out. I need to figure out what happened, because I love her and I love our baby, and I don't understand what all is going on here. And he was very persistent at being able to save his baby. And ain't nothing more attractive than a man that will be all in your face about his baby. That's the type of carrying on I like to see. I like to see a man that's gonna tear all this stuff up behind his baby. I like that. I like that a lot. And I like that he was vulnerable, right? He was afraid, but he wasn't going to stop until he figured out exactly what happened. And if that meant that he had to fight witches, warlocks, trolls, and all other kind of stuff to figure out what happened to his lady and his baby, he was fixing to do it. He figured it out. But in the beginning, things were a little sketchy, because I was like, you gonna call her crazy in both our faces? I don't know how I feel about that, sir. Next up, I have been talking about this book a lot this year. Don't Cry for Me by Daniel Black. I have talked about this book so much, and it's an amazing story. The man in this book that I like is Jacob. He is the main character. He is who is telling this story. Jacob is dying, but he is reflecting on his life. So he is reflecting on his life, and he is realizing all of the things that led to him being a not so great father to his son. His son is gay, and there were so many traumas that he experience that led him to being the man that he was. And it took until he was dying to realize, right? Which I think some people would say, like, that's terrible of you to whatever. But I like that he eventually got there, right? Like, doing the work to heal yourself is hard. Doing the work is hard. And Black men have so many different things to deal with, right? From societal expectations to their own expectations that they have for themselves to provide and to be this perfect man and to not cry and to not have feelings and that whole bit, right? That when do they have the time to do the work? And I'm not excusing the ones that don't want to do it at all. I'm just saying I understand the plight, right? I don't think any person is saying that you don't have those issues, baby. You do. I'm just saying you still need to make space for them to figure out how to heal them, right? Because if you heal them, just like if I heal mine, we can better each other. I like that he eventually got there. I like that he was vulnerable enough with himself. I like that he was able to sit and reflect, and that the reflection, although it seemed self-serving, was bigger than him, and he understood that it was bigger than him. I love that about him. I absolutely love that about him. And why haven't you read that book yet? Why haven't you? Next, Tao from the Rage of Dragons. That's my baby. I need to know. I need the third book to hurry up. I need to know if his leg is all right. Did he kiss that gal? Is they hunching? What all happened? Did the people come? I need to know. I need to know tonight. The reason that I love Tao is because Tao said, and I quote, he ain't actually said this, I'm just telling you what I heard him say. Play in somebody else's face. Here, that's what he said. I heard him. He was like, oh, you thought because I was in a lower class than you that I was going to come up in here and rearrange all your furniture. Play with somebody else. You might be safer playing with dragons. Do you hear me? You might be safer playing in traffic than playing with Tao. Okay? So Tao, some stuff had happened with his daddy. And Tao didn't like that. And they was telling him that he couldn't fight the person that he wanted to fight because y'all in different class rankings or whatever. And that just ain't how that worked. That ain't how we roll. That's how we roll. The ADHD be fighting back. Ignore it. Just keep watching the video. And Tao said, how much you want to bet? How much you want to bet? And he like completely shifted his life. Tao took everything into his own hands and he said, I bet you I get what I want. I bet you I get my opportunity. And he did. And it took him so far. I loved his grit. I loved that wasn't nothing gonna stop him. Nothing was going to stop him. Even when he thought he was going to die fighting for the things that he wanted to fight for, he kept going. He kept going. He kept going. I love that about him. He didn't let nothing distract him. Tao put his head down and he kept going. I love him. I love him. Next. Razor Blade Tears. I love both the men in this book. For similar reasons. Ike and Buddy Lee. Two very different men. Okay? Ike is a black man who has spent some time in jail. Maybe Ike and Buddy Lee ain't that different. Actually, the only thing different about him is their race. Anyway, he is trying to change his life around. And then his son and his son's husband are murdered. Buddy Lee is his son is Ike's son's husband, right? So they band together to figure out who did what to their babies, okay? And Ike is, he has a past. He like, I try not to be that person no more, okay? I got a little grandbaby at home that I got to take care of. I got my wife. I know that I wasn't the best father. I know that I wasn't because I did not understand who my son was and who my son was becoming. But he is a better man than me because he was vulnerable. He did the things to become who he needed to become, right? And he lived his life way better than I ever did, just being comfortable being different. Buddy Lee was my favorite because also Buddy Lee lived a certain type of life, right? Buddy Lee a little rough around the edges, living in a trailer home. He might have said the N-word back in his day a couple times, but Buddy Lee was like, oh, I see what it is. I got to do what I got to do to help my baby. Buddy Lee was hilarious. Buddy Lee was funny. And I think what I loved the most about Buddy Lee was that he was willing to do whatever it took. They both were. Ike and Buddy Lee were willing to do whatever it took to avenge their babies. And let me tell you something. I would dial up my Uncle Buddy Lee and my Uncle Ike if something happened to me. That's all I'm saying. If something happened to me, I call him up in a heartbeat. Here, Uncle, they hit me. They hit me. They hit me. And I let them handle it how they see fit. Uncle, they hit me. They hit me, Uncle. Okay, speaking of uncles, The Other Mother by Rachel Harper. I read this book when my mom was in the hospital a couple years ago. Sometimes I hate that my mind works that way, that I connect books and music and memories to particular things because it takes me right back. But I read this when my mom was sick. And beautiful book. One of those books that more people should be talking about. It's lit fiction. It tells the story of a boy trying to figure out who his other mother was. So his mom was in a relationship with a woman when they decided to have a baby, and then the woman left. So he is trying to figure out, like, who is this other woman? Like, is that my dad? Like, who's my father? Like, what, like, why did things end? Like, I don't understand. He felt like his life was a missing piece. And there are a few different sections where we learn about the adults in his life, and we learn about him, but then we learn about his mother, we learn about the other mother, we learn about the grandparents, and we learn about his uncle. And his uncle's name is Jasper. I thoroughly enjoyed Jasper's section. Like, I wish we could get like a whole book on Jasper. He also was gay. He had a lot going on in his life, but he was so supportive of his sister. And in his support of his sister, it helped him heal his relationship with his father in some ways, because their relationship was different, and it really like highlighted, excuse me, the things you'll do for love, but that are also like healing to you. Like, he wanted to take care of his sister, right? So he kept this particular secret, and it was such a good book. I want to revisit this, and I want to reread it. I might make it a book club pick. Like, let's read this as a family, because there are so many things to be discussed in this book. But Jasper was the man. Jasper was helping his little sister however he could, and I love that about him. I love that about him. So that is all I have for right now. If you want to see another video like this, maybe some of my favorite female characters, please let me know. Without further ado, if no one has told you today, I love you. You are kind, you are smart, you are important, if to no one else, to me. Bye, friends.